This is what one does, who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. They will be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, with few duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart one cherishes all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one sustains this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to wrong views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Right. I have a very weird angle to the monitor. I don't really like that. Okay. So, how are you all doing? Happy? Okay. I'm pretty empty in my head today. I have some digestive problems, so I might have to run out during the meditation. do a little bit business somewhere else, actually. That can easily happen. So I don't feel. I think most of my blood is in my digestive system. So my mind is not particularly clear tonight. I just give a short introduction to the meditation, and then we just go ahead with it. Most of it are here for a long time, and we can just do some meditation together. And I might have to excuse myself during the meditation for a short while. I will be back as soon as I can. Apart from that, I hope you have figured out a place for yourself where you, if it's a chair, maybe you have built yourself your little special meditation chair by now, or you have to figure out some extremely comfortable position in some other place, or with pillows, and I don't know what sort of equipment you have at hand, that you sit super comfortable as you can, and can breathe comfortably. Very important. And the aim of the meditation is good to have a little bit of an aim. That if we go with absolutely no direction in the first place, it becomes sometimes very confused in the meditation, and the mind is sort of rattling on what it's supposed to do. So the aim, like always, is to stilling the thought process if possible. But stilling it by not interfering, realizing thought comes up, and then this is not important now. For half an hour, we don't have to figure anything out. We don't have to influence. We're just gonna look what's going on in our perception and in our awareness. And like always, the best way of doing that is having an interest in what is going on. Not as an exercise, I have to get through with it, and then something great is going to happen. And from the very beginning, just what happens if there are not so many thoughts in my head anymore? How does it affect my awareness? Does it feel lighter? Does it feel heavier? I become more aware of my body usually, and that can become a little bit heavier in the beginning. Especially we're getting older and we have our aches and pains already. And sometimes when we're not so busy, we become more aware of all the little things that are not so pleasant in the body. And even having enough interest in just bearing with that, that is sometimes a little bit of endurance, just this being willingness to give that a chance to express itself. It's there in the background all the time. So it's not that it's going to be more extreme than before. It's just our awareness is changed a little bit, and then it can seem to be more unpleasant. But if we go into the relaxation, the feeling of not having to do something, going to the breath, feeling in the body that the body has enough oxygen, it's as comfortable as we can get, like in the moments maybe before you go to sleep, when you try to make yourself comfortable in bed. And it's just as comfortable as it gets. And then hopefully or not, you're going to fall asleep. Same as in the meditation, only we're sitting up and we pay attention to what's going on when the thinking mind and the active mind stops. But the attitude is a little bit the same. It's this sort of a relaxing into it, and is it welcoming sleep or welcoming the meditation, whatever is going on there tonight. So, and personally, I don't know any other way. For me, it's very relaxing to have my breath as a not a focal point, but as something where the mind always can get back to and stay with for a while. If it drifts away from that, that's okay. But it's just a very pleasant thing, because it's moving, and this standing for the mind, standing still and not having action is a difficult thing. So the breath is a moving thing in the body. So it's usually easier to watch, and also very pleasant, because it gives us that feeling that everything is all right. As long as the breath is going in and out nicely, actually we're not in too much trouble. So it has this little bit of a calming effect on the mind as well. So instead of focusing on it, I encourage people to use it as your friend, as your anchor. Just like this. And with an out-breath, you can always just relax a little bit more. Feel again through your body, is there still tension somewhere? And the body is going to do its own thing. It's just relaxing after a while by itself. But sometimes if we look, if there's tension there, we can see there's something to do, and if not, okay. And then sometimes it releases by itself, or we're holding on to something still. And that's what I mean, like going to sleep. The body is really relaxed. And please get aware of your body in the first place in the meditation. Don't be afraid of that. Body is gonna be the first thing that comes into the foreground when the thinking stops, or when the thinking slows down. That's where the attention goes to. And to have a little bit of interest and this little bit of endurance, if there are little aches and whatnot, This is part of this kindness, to be just willing to have a look there. Why? Okay, there's a little bit of tension there. It's not my enemy or whatnot. It's just the body having a bit of tension. And then sometimes just this little bit of awareness and kindness, the muscle group around that can relax, and then it's getting better. So the stress is that you're that comfortable that you know 100% in that position where I'm sitting now, my body's going to be all right. I'm not going to fall over. I'm not going to damage anything. And then from there on, oh, that's just a little twitch or something. I wouldn't even notice if I was watching television now. Wouldn't even be aware of it, but because now getting into the body, it feels like a big deal often. So it's the opposite of sitting there with intense pain. Please don't do that. But it's just this little bit of uncomfortableness can come up in the beginning. And this, if there's enough interest and kindness in the mind, this shouldn't be a big deal. If you don't have any chronic pain that immediately comes up, then you might have to do other things. Okay, so we try to slow the thought process down in our minds. By just paying more attention to the body, paying attention to the breath, relaxing. A little bit of kindness, of goodwill to the process, of interest. What is happening if I don't do anything? What do I really have to do? How does it feel not having to do something anymore? And that's a different attitude from trying to achieve something in particular, but the mind still has a direction, and it's sort of, if it's getting calmer, that's the direction that we're aiming for. We don't want to get more agitated. We don't want to think more because we think too much already. And the interesting things in meditation start when the thinking process stops for long periods of time. So that is the general direction we can give our minds now. And I just have to pick up my timer. And then we can start with the meditation already. Please go to your favorite spots. And it's all right to give it a minute to really make yourself comfortable. Make sure that you're in a good balance with your body, that you can breathe freely, that you have the feeling, wow, that is a good position for a while. If it's not for half an hour, it doesn't matter, but that is as good as it gets, straight, and there's no restrictions to my breath. Can relax my shoulders, my hands are in a position that they don't put strain on my shoulders, and my feet are in a comfortable position. And just knowing the body is in a safe space now, and nothing's going to happen to it. If I fell asleep in that position, everything would be just fine. And then everything that is in the near future or in the far future, let that be unimportant for half an hour. It's not going to matter. The future can live without our thoughts easily for half an hour. And everything that happened in the past is of no importance. We don't have to contemplate that. We don't have to figure something out there. We're just going to be aware of what does that mean, present moment awareness. How far does that go? And we look that every thought that comes up in the mind is sort of an interpretation of something that happened in the past already, or an anticipation of something that's supposed to happen in the future. So there cannot be a single thought in our mind that is present moment awareness. Present moment awareness is something where thoughts are far too slow. Present moment awareness is so immediate. So much. And just being an observer in that. And just with interest, whatever comes. If there's a car in the background, like I have right now, a bird's chirping, so the mind goes to the auditory system for a while. And then maybe it goes behind the eyes. It's a little bit reddish and bluish. And I have a lot of lights on here that you can see me. You hopefully have it more pleasant at your place. Noise, loud, gone. And then the awareness might go somewhere else. But you have your breath there as your anchor. Then you can always just like a calming influence. And if the breath feels a little bit nice, then the mind is inclined to look a little bit more in that direction, but it might go somewhere else again. But thoughts and interpretations are just not important right now. The mind is free to roam, and it just goes wherever it wants to. And just the interest of what is happening with us taking the hands off the wheel, and how things to continue, how this awareness continues. If too many thoughts come up, just can go back to your breath. In breath, out breath, just very consciously, kindly. Even if it slows down a little bit, is it not pleasant already? And just this feeling of not having to do, not having to manipulate, like a holiday. Not having to achieve, not having to be. Not being regarded as this or that. Just the freedom of whatever happens, happens. What a kindness that is. I'm gonna ring the bell 3 times, and then we can end the meditation for tonight. So, everybody back? Yeah, it was for me nice low energy meditation. So, but very nice and calming. So my guts feel a little bit better. Sometimes just relaxing does a trick. So that is pretty pleasant for me. I don't know how it went for you. I think an important thing for everybody doing that stuff is to ask themselves why. Why am I doing that? Huh? Some people do that for many, many years now. So is it the joy of it? Did it just become a habit? Is it since you took the precepts and you're Buddhist, that's just part of what is expected of you? Is it, for some of you, you're sick and you hope with meditation you can alleviate your sickness? Is it because it's you're a fan of the Dalai Lama and that looked so mystical and attractive, actually you want to give it a try? Or, you know, your motivations are your motivations. Huh? And it's good to be clear in your own mind what your meditation is good for. Why did you start this thing? What do you want to get out of it? Huh? And if you're very clear of why you're doing that, you have also an idea of, after a few months or years, did you get out of that what you wanted to get out of it? Huh? And if not, is there something wrong with what I expect of it? Or is there maybe something wrong with the method? Or was the whole idea something too illusional in the first place? So you can save yourself a lot of frustration if you're very clear in your own mind. Why do you do it? Huh? Why do you want to do that boring meditation stuff? Are you all crazy? And if you do it for 10 years or whatnot, and is completely the same for you, and you're as miserable as you were before. You're so as agitated and flippant and panicky and whatnot after 10 years of meditation. What was it you wanted to get out of meditation? Huh? Was it to become calmer? Was it to have less anxiety? Huh? Or both of it, 2 or 3 or 4 factors, you know. A meditation is not some method or some wishful thinking. Huh? Meditation is beginning to understand how your own mind works. Huh? Is far more than in the direction of what the psychologists try to figure out. Huh? What is it? What is that mind? What is the? They're only concerned with alleviating some diseases in the mind, basically. That is why I found psychology relatively uninteresting after a while. Huh? It was always the premises that there's sickness, and then let's see that and that we can do to make it a little bit better. Huh? But it was not. There was no freedom there. Huh? The Buddha talks of something different. Huh? Talks of the end of suffering, which psychology is not aiming for at all. I mean, even Freud says life is a lot of suffering. The best we can hope for is basically not to suffer too much. And as a Buddhist monk's perspective, is the end of suffering. I don't know what that even means. Because if we don't see what is suffering, how can we see what is the end of suffering? And now everything we experience in the world often we take as happiness is just the other side of the coin. Is all in the realm of the 5 senses. There's something beautiful we see that gives us happiness. Is something awful we see that gives us suffering. Is something beautiful we hear somebody makes us a compliment and we're happy. Somebody says we're so incredibly ugly and everything we say is complete nonsense, and then we feel depressed. It's just in the beginning it's just sound. From an objective standpoint it was just sound, both of it. The praise was just sound. And the criticism was just sound. What our mind makes of it is something completely different. Smell is the same. All the 5 senses, something smells nice, and we cannot get close enough, and something stinks, and we just cannot get far enough away. That is how the mind works. We think thoughts of inspiration, and we feel uplifted, and our ego is just like, I feel good about myself, basically. It was just feels very secure and powerful, and then we think we did something wrong or got some criticism again and whatnot, and we can think we're the worst person in the world, or just everything is complete nonsense and meaningless. So this is the little game that is going on in our own mind the whole time. And that is what we call ourselves. But there is no control in that. We never decide, oh, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be sad, I'm going to be pretty, I'm going to be ugly. As far as you can put as much beautiful clothing and makeup on and whatnot. There's only a certain amount of prettiness you can have in a body that is not super pretty. Or if you have a certain mindset in the first place, if there's you grew up with a lot of conflict and anger, there's just only a certain amount of kindness and guilelessness you even allow yourself to be in your own mind, because anger was your protection the whole time. So the whole thing is a conditioned process. There's nobody in charge who's pushing the buttons. And the whole point of the Buddhist meditation is to become aware what is going on in the mind. How does that work? What affects the mind? What pushes us in this direction and in that direction? How much happiness is there really in the good smell, in the good taste, in the good sight, in the good sound, and in the good feel? There is only that amount. And then there is always the other side, which is the unpleasant stuff. And that is having a body. And the physicists and the biologists, they believe we have a body, and that is the reason we have a mind. And the Buddhists believe because we have a mind, we're going to have a body sooner or later. Huh? And so there was, if there was nothing after death, in the end there wouldn't be such a big problem. Huh? Some of you are quite old, few years of suffering left, and then it's all going to be over anyway if there's nothing afterwards. Huh? Where's the problem? There's no problem. If the whole business continues, there's a big problem. If it just goes on and on and on and on, if basically consciousness is going to search for some other expression again in this realm or some other realms, then there is definitely there's a different interest in the business, isn't there? What sort of mind state do I want to be in when it goes on and when I die? Huh? What sort of life do I want to have lived before I die as well? And seeing what influences the mind is the only way of seeing this is causing more suffering, this is causing more happiness. And that is having a different perspective, not this immediate happiness of a little baby, basically, which eats something nice, actually, and then it pokes its finger in its own poo-poo and puts the finger in its mouth and starts to cry. Yeah? That is the happiness of the ignorant. Yeah? And if we only look in that direction, it's just like more beautiful things out there, another boyfriend, another girlfriend, the perfect marriage, the perfect car, the perfect house, oh, I need a swimming pool, I need this and that. There's no end to it, you see that? There is no possibility of an end result of happiness. That is not how the mind works. That is one of the things we can understand. Huh? Whatever we're craving, when we have it, the mind doesn't say, oh, thank you so much. No, I'm going to be happy ever afterwards. It's just immediately, it's the next thing. What next? That is what craving is. That has to be identified in the mind. It's just how it works. These tendencies. It's like something new, beautiful to see. Nothing more beautiful to hear. To experience, to do, to challenge, to whatever it is, or intellectual pursuits can be anything depending on your character. But this only has that amount of happiness and that amount of suffering. The Buddha is talking about in the meditation, understanding the process. And if the mind is the first time seeing the process as a process, it is outside the process. That is what we call the 5 hindrances, when that stops for the first time. Where the mind sees any action, any wanting and not wanting, as something heavy, as something uninteresting, as less free as that what you experience in your meditation in that moment. And it's when we get a little bit of a different idea where the direction can be of happiness. Because we cannot just decide, oh, I'm just going to be a good Buddhist and I'm always going to have a happy mind or whatnot. That is just that illusion of control again. And we don't have that. If we had that, we would decide to be happy people, and then we were happy people. As the same as you decide in your meditation, no, I'm not going to think for half an hour. Who is doing the thinking then? Huh? It's the same as if you say, I'm not going to have any perception for half an hour. The only possibility then is you have to hire somebody who knocks you unconscious. Otherwise it's impossible. Or you decide, I'm not going to feel anything for half an hour. Huh? But we call that mine. Huh? This is my feelings, my thoughts, my body. Huh? And yeah, in a sense it is. It's not yours or whatnot. I have obviously more control over that thing here right now than you have. Huh? But it's the amount of control that we have is completely exaggerated. Huh? There's a complete delusion behind that. That it's such an entity and somebody, the big thinker in the background, has a control over it. And that's just not the case. And it's not a scary thing that is not the case. It can be incredibly freeing. Huh? It just gives you this sense of this stuff is just going on because you grew up in Australia or America, me in Germany, and under this and that circumstances, with those and those parents, with siblings or no siblings in that culture, with good friends and bad friends, good teachers and bad teachers. And all the interactions we had in between, that makes that person here, sitting here, called itself Cittapalo, with all that experiences. That is the reason I am what I am right here. There was nobody ever making the decisions. It just exactly happened in the way that it needed to happen because the conditions were right for that. And the guy making the decisions, the decision becoming a monk or whatnot, I don't know if anybody ever made that decision. It's more or less an afterthought always, that decision. I made that decision. Somewhere it comes up basically, and then you interpret it in your own head that you made the decision, and that is often what you can see in the meditation, that the experience happens already, and then this thought latches on afterwards and explains it, and then creates the reality around that. And that can be a nice reality, or it can be a really dark and awful reality that is spun around it. But it's not really reality, it's a possibility. It's a possibility what the mind can do. And the freedom, as far as I can see it, is not having to create all these artificial realities around what is happening, and staying more and more in your experience, in the moment. With people, see, that's at least a bit of freedom that I can experience and have experienced. What it means, the end of suffering and experience, I have no idea. But at least the direction, if most of the people in the world, they just look in the direction of the five sense happiness, and there's not happiness, there's happiness and suffering in that direction. It's always both. If you have a beautiful body, it's going to be an old body someday. If you get your praise and your confidence out of having a beautiful body, you get the suffering and the disappointment when that thing gets old, actually, and people don't praise you anymore, and they tell you, "Oh, you aged quite badly here." And it's really sad, you know. If we really identify with that, this is my body, this is me, or whatnot, nothing more than that, then it's a scary thing, isn't it? I mean, liberating if it dies and it's all over, no problem. But scary is if our own self-worth is so wrapped around that, you know. If there's we haven't found anything inside that we feel happy with, not dependent on what other people think, what is there, something that we have seen for ourselves in our mind, and that changes as well, but it's at least something that is, I call it goodwill with yourself. Huh? Just this realization that control that we think we have is not there, but that kindness is an attitude that can be developed, and just because we're not in control anyway. What can be more stupid to be angry and miserable with it? Huh? Isn't it nicer to just go for the ride and just see where it goes? And that takes some interest and some kindness, and it's the opposite of what is usually praised in the world now, especially in America and whatnot. You're all these power people, just enough will and enough motivation, and you can achieve everything, and wah. And it's not what the Buddha is talking about. Has nothing to do with power, motivation. Well, motivation maybe, motivation, or if you call motivation interest. Motivation of understanding what the mind is, how the mind works, what causes you happiness and suffering, and a taste of this freedom of having an inner landscape that is just not shaken so much anymore by what is going outside there. And people praise you and say, "Yeah, thank you," and people blame you and say, "Yeah, thank you." It's just, I'm not talking about being completely ignorant, and if you become a real asshole, it's good to be aware. People tell you you're becoming more and more unpleasant or whatnot. And just, "Oh yeah, thank you," and you don't give a damn. I don't mean that sort of ignorance, but I just mean that sort of everything, especially if you're in robes and you sit in front of people and you have to give talks and whatnot, and you get, "Oh, Ajahn, that was so beautiful what you said," and whatnot. It's just like, yeah, it was all right. I don't give so much about the praise, and then I don't have to give so much about the blame if somebody basically tells me that it really doesn't want to listen to my crap anymore. Huh? It's just I never had a chance to do anything different than I do. I can study now some branch of Buddhism to make it interesting or whatnot, but this is the Armadale Meditation Group. What is it all about? It's about the mind, understanding the mind, getting a calmer, happier mind. You didn't sign up to become even Buddhists here or whatnot. And I don't want you to. I'm absolutely not interested if you're Buddhists or not. If you understand your own mind, that is what the Buddha was talking about. The Buddha didn't want you to become Buddhists. It doesn't matter at all. If you understand how the mind works, you're going to become a good person, because you see that the harm you're doing to other people, you're going to do to yourself. Anger is at first is harming yourself. Just the reaction in the body, the people drawing away from you. Everything what Jesus said is the same what the Buddha said in that respect. Just having a good moral fiber protects you from so much stuff that people experience because they don't have that. And that is how low it is in the world right now, that even people with the lowest moral fiber can become president of a very powerful country. People don't even discern anymore this. I wouldn't let that guy alone with my children. How can I vote that guy to the president of the United States? There is no feeling for what is right and wrong anymore there. It's just you can lie, you can exaggerate, you can bully. It doesn't matter, you can still be a great president. How is that supposed to be possible? How can that be a great president? You want to live in a world where that is possible, that somebody like that can make good policies? How is it? And everything he does is basically the opposite of the community you want to live in, the way you want to treat your neighbor and whatnot. And that is this is just a philosophical aspect and you can have different opinions. No, I don't agree. If you're a meditator and you feel inside your own consciousness, you can see very clearly what is a really unwholesome direction and what is not. And people who lie and bully, you keep away from them in the world, don't you? I hope at least after a while. I mean, not immediately, and we don't want to be too judgmental as well. But I mean, sooner or later, if we know that guy is a thief, or that guy is sleeping around or whatnot, I'm not going to leave him alone with my girlfriend or whatnot. And if that is a untrustworthy person, I'm not going to listen to him. Or maybe I listen to him, but I don't really give much about his opinion anymore. This is just natural consequences of actions, isn't it? That's our experience, our life experience, telling us, I don't need that anymore. I've seen those characters actually, and this is. I can handle them, but I'm not seeking them, and I'm not trying to hang around with them. And there's just these simple things that is so obvious, and it seems to be so removed from so many people now, and it's quite hard to understand for me sometimes. It seems to me being really out of touch with any consequences of thoughts, action, speech. That is karma. That is how the whole thing works. How we change our perception, other people's perception, and what comes back to us sooner or later. What we say, what we think is gonna influence what we say, and what we say influences what we think and what we do, and what we think influences also what we do. And if that combination and the consequences of right thought and wrong thought is so little understood and so little interest in it, then it's when the world can really go downhill. Of course, the great influence of religion is not there anymore. Hardly anybody believes in the big finger up in the sky anymore, and keep the masses in check. And now religion has died to a certain degree, and everything with it, because it was just a commandment. But a lot of that is from people who have looked a little bit deeper and seen the consequences of actions, of thought and actions. And that is still valid. That is still valid stuff. And if that is not recognized anymore, we can get into trouble in the world. But I mean, the only thing we can do is to improve our own minds. It doesn't matter if we rant about what is going on outside. If we just get negative with that sort of thing, then we miss the chance to be a little bit better in our direct encounters with our fellow human beings. And that is the only way to change something, to just be a little bit kinder if you have an aggressive neighbor, to be in a good mood enough that if somebody gives you a snappy comment, it doesn't bother you so much, and you don't get angry with that person. And I don't mean I should do that. I mean the mind gets happier, and the happier the mind is, the less we are affected. And the best example for me you can relate to is, have you ever been in love, really in love? Even for a short while. If you remember back to that time, I remember that very clearly. There was nothing or I cannot think of anything, at least nothing that I encountered during the first few weeks, months, could bother me. There was a happiness there. We call that the pink glasses as well, or whatnot. It doesn't matter now if it's delusional or not, but just as a possibility of a mind state, that all the things that would have usually bothered us, we didn't even perceive. That's what I'm talking about. Not talking about being a good Christian, good Buddhist, good something, and I should do better, and I have to love my neighbor. No. If our mindset is increased, the happiness of our mind state is increased, we don't feel it as a burden anymore. And that is the goal. That is what we're working with. Not to be somebody that we're not. To experience something that gives us the insight and the happiness that the little bothersome things from the outside don't bother us so much. Irritants, the little irritations coming from the outside don't bother us so much anymore. But as a mindset, as something that is really true and not something we try to achieve or to be. Something has changed. Something has been learned. It's not just a belief anymore. We have understood something. Something has made click in the head and in the heart. So it is a practice, it's not a belief. That's just what I wanted to say. And you make just very clear in your own mind, why do you do that thing? You might not agree with the whole Buddhist thing or whatnot, but be clear. If you want a better health, see if you get calmer and it relaxes your body, and that goes in that direction. If you have anxiety, see Buddhism can offer keeping you the 5 precepts as your safety net. You become confident in that you're not harming people. And then you get more aware of your thought process, see where the anxiety starts, what those processes are. Then meditation can help you. If you want to go all the way and don't even know what that awakening is supposed to be, it can become very confused and sort of, what am I even doing? So maybe have your little goals there for yourself, just a little bit calm, be aware, understanding something. Not believing something new, understanding mechanisms in your mind, understanding how to deal with it, where it needs a little bit more kindness now, a little bit more just interest in that what is happening there. Never have to control it, we just have to understand it. And when it's understood, if it's suffering, the mind will let go of it. That's the nature of the mind. And that's also something important to see, because we don't have to force the mind. We want happiness and try to avoid suffering. I mention that each and every time. That is the nature of the mind. We want happiness, try to avoid suffering. There's nothing we can do about that. It's the same as we don't want to breathe anymore. This is the nature, the very nature of the mind. So give it happiness, but give it happiness that comes from inner, something you have to develop inside of yourself. Something that feels light, that feels peaceful. Because you see there's harmlessness there, there's guilelessness there. There's no blame in that direction. If any person on earth would act in that way, there wouldn't be a problem. And that is just a feeling in that moment. Obviously, you're not constantly going to be that person then. But as an aim in your loving kindness meditation, mindset just good enough that any person in the universe, any being in the universe can be safe with you right now. beautiful. What we all want. Huh? Yeah, figure that out until next time, what you really want to get out of the meditation. We have a few more minutes if there are any questions. Yeah, please. Pinder?
Unmute. Kim from Maine had her hand up some time ago. I don't know whether she still has a question.
Oh no, I was just going to answer Ajahn question about what are we trying to get out of it, and I'm really trying to get enlightened. Maybe not in the next couple of lifetimes, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, but what do you think enlightenment is?
Freedom from suffering.
Okay. How is that supposed to work?
Well, I think that clinging is a lot of it, and I have a lot of attachments, and the more I meditate, the more attachments I seem to have.
You become aware of, you mean?
Yeah.
Because when you meditate, you don't develop new attachments, you just become aware of attachments you have. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but then the question is what to do about it. And I mean, people often have these lofty goals and they know a little bit about Buddhism, then it's just, oh yeah, I have attachments, now I have to get rid of my attachments. How the hell am I going to get rid of my attachments? Okay, I don't love my children anymore, I don't like my husband anymore, I don't like my neighbor anymore. It's just all attachments, just get rid of them, basically. And so it's just, this is not how it works. Attachment is, it also attaches ourselves to something. Our own mind as believing to be something. So that is also an anchor. So your partner is your anchor, your children is also your anchor. And your friends are your anchor. So and then people think, oh, that's all suffering, let's throw that all away, and they become really miserable and horrible people. So understanding, if you aim for the really lofty goals, you have to understand the path very careful. What is really the path of Buddhism? And that is the Eightfold Path. And I hope you, if you really want to go in that direction, be very aware of what you're doing and how you're going about your life. And I mean, the first step, obviously, is keep good 5 precepts and see how much happiness you get out of that direction. Kim Cormier from Maine. Yeah. So, but then it gets very confusing often in our meditation, because it's something we really don't have any experience. We don't have any concept for what that's even supposed to be. The only interesting way, if you look in your meditation for the end of suffering, is the first thing you realize is, as long as I have anything to do, there's suffering. If there's anything to manipulate or change, that is suffering. Because it's, you see in the meditation, it's exhausting. It's pushing and pulling, and it's the opposite of just this letting go. It's not letting go, it's basically stuff falling from your shoulders. Letting go is something that happens, not something that we have initiated or whatnot. It's just this feeling of lightness. Just nothing has to change in that moment anymore, because you're from moment to moment to moment to moment exactly where you want to be. There's never any difference between what you experience and where you want to be in that experience. It's one thing. There is nobody out there differentiating anymore good and bad. That is just the experience. And that is an idea of the direction, then basically, when you talk about enlightenment, where it's even going. There's no... The doer has at least stopped doing stuff. So that I can advise you, if you have such high goals, pay attention to that. As long as you have to do something in your mind, there's suffering. Okay. You don't look very happy about it. I can't help it. Okay, any other question? Yes, Barbara?
First of all, Ajahn, I just want to say I really, really enjoyed your talk tonight. I had a little bit of an experience, very, very good, very mind. It's very angry about things.
Sorry, your sound quality is not super good, Barbara, actually. I can't hardly understand you. Can you say that again, please? Yeah, try again. Yes, speak again.
You got it now? Is that better?
That's better. Much better. Yeah.
It was going into my earphones. I've taken my earphones out.
All right.
Yeah, as I said, today I had this experience with, I've had this experience many, many, many times with this friend who gets very angry about things. And I really wish she could have heard your talk tonight, because it would have resonated with her so much and made her think about what she does, in getting angry about things. And about, I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a religious person in any way. I've got no religious things about me at all.
Oh, curse you.
I enjoy this because I feel it really grounds me. I love philosophy. I love to philosophize about things. And to me, I love the talks because they really make me think about some things in my life. And as the week goes on, I often think about what the monks and even the people in the rains have said. And you go, yeah, don't need to do that. But do it another way, or think a different way. And it makes me think different ways. And it makes me, makes life more pleasant, And
Good.
I enjoy the meditation. I'm not a person who meditates all the time. I meditate when I'm here, and occasionally I meditate, but not all of the time. But I do enjoy the meditation, and I find that this does enhance my life, and it makes life good. I enjoy it. Your talk tonight was particularly interesting, and I really enjoyed it, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, actually. Now, my ego feels really uplifted now, so I better stop. I don't want anybody criticizing me. No, thanks, Barbara. I'm just kidding around. If you get something out of it, I mean, that's all that matters. Huh? And if just believing in something new doesn't matter to me. It's not interesting to me. Just if you can work with that, and you see something happening, or you're experiencing something in your own mind, and you hear something, and you think, oh yeah, that's true, actually. There comes these moments when there's calmness in the mind. That is really a nice experience. Huh? Where's there supposed to be anger or anxiety if we're not thinking? Huh?
You pick up little things. I mean, there's one particular thing. I used to go to philosophy classes years ago. There's one thing that really stuck in my mind, where they said, say only what is necessary. And that made a big difference in my life. And there's lots of times I think, you don't need to say that, just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Say only what is necessary, leave us as a thought. Yeah.
Well, it's necessary, but also speak what is necessary, and with kindness in your heart. It's even nicer advice,
Yeah.
And you said with your girlfriend, you wished your girlfriend had heard the talk. But you have heard the talk, so you know anger comes up in the mind, and then we can't do anything about that. That is just her conditioning. But but you as a friend, basically, you set your own example, basically, you know, how you react to your environment. And the happiness of your mind is always going to decide how you react in any situation. Huh?
Exactly.
And the happier you are, the less angry you are. So there can be compassion with angry people if we reflect on it correctly, because we see they suffer a lot. There's a lot of suffering there. Huh? And a lot of gratitude if we don't have to experience that, if our mind is a little bit kinder already. Huh?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. It's 35. Any really important question still? Thanks, Barbara. No hands from, what is that? Dear Ajahn Cittapalo, yes, great talk, thank you. All right, welcome. Okay, thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening, sleep well, be kind, take care, all the best. Bye-bye.